Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for a deadlift day, but a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please remember to click like down below. Be greatly appreciated. A lot of you saw the preview. 550 for 4. This was on 531. This was a 3-day. I went for an extra rep. I felt like I could have got a fifth. Right? Could have got a fifth. So we're in a good position. Good position means I'm about to deadlift over 600 pounds. About to deadlift over 600 pounds. And I don't know where people are getting math. A little side note. When I talk about competing again, I don't think people understand age or weight classes, and they don't understand water cuts. If I'm still cutting, and I've talked about getting down to around 205, what weight class would that be? That means I'm competing in the 198 or the 181. Okay, water cuts are normal. And people keep plugging in Masters 1 stuff. I turned 45 in exactly 2 months. I have 5 full years in the Masters 2 to compete in as many feds as I feel like and try to get any records that I can, as many as I can, right? Whichever I choose to do once I start competing again. So context. Now, over to the supplemental work. I did 3 sets of 10 with 360 for the back off work. Oh my God. Rep work on deadlifts is not fun. I need to build this up to where I can do 5 by 10 like on some of the other lifts. I will get there. This is going to take some work. I might need to work my GPP back up. Right? I feel like that might be helpful. So after this little phase, I will start dragging my sled again. I'm going to start doing plyos. Since I'm not doing speed work on this right now, I need plyos. So we come back to what? Heavy work. Right? 1 to 5s. We come back to hypertrophy. 10s. GPP for conditioning, and then plyos for speed. You guys see what I mean? If this isn't that dissimilar from conjugate, it's really not. Keep in mind, it was born out of conjugate. A lot of the principles are the same. So, again, we'll have some fun with it. But yeah, the 10s on the deadlifts, not going to lie, not exactly fun. But I'm real happy with that 550 for 4. I knew I had 3. When I got to 3 and got 4, I was like, all right, cool. I could have ground out a 5th. A lot of people noticed that. So again, where does that put me? About 625. Ballpark right now on a max. And we'll keep building it up. I feel like my deadlift is going to climb. Even as I get leaner and drop more body weight, I feel like the deadlift's going to keep going up. So I feel real good about that. But again, I'm somewhat built to deadlift. I'm probably more built to squat, but I am built to deadlift. I do have long arms. I don't have the other ratios for the deadlift. After that, you guys will notice everything else is traction based. Why? Because if we're going to do a heavy deadlift and then we're going to do volume on deadlifts, recovery is the name of the game. Okay, volume deadlifts need to be programmed very carefully. You need to be careful with your work afterwards. So every single other exercise I did is in traction. Now, assuming my shoulder health is so much better, I want to start messing with some power cleans also. Mainly because I need the extra speed. So I want to start messing with some power cleans and stuff on these lower days, but I'm going to have to work that in careful. And I'm going to be prepared for a lot of hate when I do it, by the way. Be prepared for a lot of hate. Oh my God, your power cleans are horrible. But I don't have to explain to people, I don't care. I'm not competing in weightlifting. I'm doing them for explosiveness and hypertrophy. And yes, I will use them as a hypertrophy exercise if I do them. But that's neither here nor there. Let's come over and talk about what we did here. Belt squats. I replicated the same I did last time. I will slowly work this up, but because I think I'm going to do volume squats on the next squat day, don't want to bump the weight yet. I have plenty of time to just slowly add 5 pounds here or there on this lift and keep getting it up. Main thing is getting that leg development. So what are we picking for supplemental work? We only did 3 supplemental lifts, but we did a lot of sets. Because the deadlifts build a lot of muscles, right? 10s on deadlifts puts a lot of muscle on you. No, hopefully everyone understands that. It's the recovery that's the problem. But again, deadlift accessories, the belt squat. This is a deadlift accessory still, even though people are like it's a squat. But a squat is a deadlift accessory, isn't it? Quads, adductors, glutes, right? Quads do matter on the deadlift. But it's quads, adductors, glutes with the back end traction. Plus we need the extra work for those muscles for the squat. I need more quad, adductor, and glute. Get my squat back up after I've been cutting. So this is going to be a staple. Plus it's very, very easy on recovery because of the traction component. Then we did glute ham raises for full hamstring development, and then I did a bunch of reverse hypers. Okay, so what did we have there? Quads, adductors, glutes. The glute ham raise, what's it work? Primarily hamstrings. People are like, oh, it's a glute ham raise. Actually, it's a terrible glute exercise. If this is your main glute exercise, you're not going to have an ass, basically. Let me just put it that way. It doesn't work the glutes very well. It's a very poor choice. Ironically, people see the reverse hyper and they think hamstrings, but no, it barely works the hamstrings for me. It's a lot of glute. But here we have a little bit of low back, right? Have some hips actually. Right, it does have some hip work, some abductor, I mean. But it just destroys the hamstrings. Again, if we want to exercise that works every possible function of the hamstring, this is it. Also, traction at the bottom. Traction on the spine. Then I'll finish up with glute ham raises, which is erectors with traction on them. Glutes, and then maybe hamstrings as a secondary. All right, we hit pretty much maximum volume on all the deadlift muscles, didn't we? Now, people can say, what about lats and traps? But look at what we did yesterday. We did all those chins, right? We did all those chins. And chin-ups and pull-ups are going to be a staple. They're going to be a staple exercise for me. So if we take the upper body work we did yesterday, it covers it. So this is still a full lower body workout. Also, this is technically a squat accessory day also, right? It's still a normal lower because look at all the muscles we just worked. Everything I did will build the squat. But when I'm doing volume deadlifts, I don't know that I can handle that much other supplemental work. I mean, realistically, there's so much stimulus, and with a disproportionate amount of fatigue, we can only handle so much. And in the case of that, that's why everything has got to be traction based. Right? I mean, I would love to come over and do some hip thrusts and stuff. I mean, I bought that hip thrust bench. I just spent like $300 on it. Used it a few times. You know, everyone, I've seen someone else actually mentioned that the other day. It's like, you bought all this new equipment, you use some of it, and then a lot of it's not. You spent a lot of money. I'm like, yeah, I spent a couple $1,000s on new equipment very recently. Those 3 new barbells, right? 3 new barbells, the hip thrust bench, all that stuff are dumbbells, because I've made basically adjustable dumbbells that go up past 140, and now I'm not using them. But I will work them back in. I just feel like right now the dips and the pull-ups, well, plus that attachment, that multi-grip attachment's really coming in handy for my road rack. So this is stuff I've got recently, but here's the thing, guys. Just because we have it doesn't mean we have to use it every workout. And I've noticed that with some of my clients. You know, they get, for their conjugate stuff, they get a new bar or two and they want to use it nonstop. And it's like, look, we work it in. It's like, just because it's new doesn't mean you have to use it all the time. You have it. It's there as a tool when you need it. So I'm at a point where I've got 15 barbells. I've got all these specialty machines. Right? And I got another one on the way. They finally shipped it. So my 45-degree hyper. Right? We have all this. It doesn't mean we have to use it all the time. I could set it to the side, not to do some of it for a couple years, but then if I need it for a weak point, I have it. And that's the idea. Right? It's having every tool available so that if I get inflammation or a minor injury or anything, I can train around it instantly. That's the idea. And then we finished off here after the 5 sets of glute ham raises with 6 sets. And I only did 6 of these because it's like, well, I wanted to try to get towards 5 deadlifts. I did 3. So we did one extra set of these, extra traction, extra recovery. But again, all of my supplemental work put my back in traction after the deadlifts because we have axial loading and compression. So we compress, which has an enormous impact on recovery, unfortunately. If it wasn't a recovery component, guys, we could deadlift all day long. Honestly, we could do 5 sets of 10 on deadlifts twice a week and get pretty stacked if it didn't just beat us into the ground. That's the problem with it. It's overuse and the fatigue. But in this case, everything is traction. That means I go into the weekend with my back and spine pulled back apart. And a lot of my ab work, which you guys have seen me do, is hanging also. I tend to do hanging leg raises. I might film some of that again soon, so people forget I do those. I can go pretty high up now on them these days. But again, traction. And it's the same thing for my upper days. Notice I'm doing chin-ups or pull-ups and dips every single upper workout. The recovery end. We train hard, big movements. Again, I'm going to start using that line. My accessory work is big and basic like your mom. But we have to look at the recovery components to all of it. We've got to balance it out. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.